prashantatma vigatabhir brahmachari vrate sthitam manah samyamya machitto yukta asita matparaha. So Lord Krishna is speaking the importance of Brahmachari Vrata for everyone. So today we will try to discuss the basics of Brahmachari Vrata and the correct understanding of what is Brahmacharya and how do we practically follow in our life, because Krishna says without this there is no question of development or progress in spiritual life. It is simply a mockery if somebody is not practicing Brahmachari Vrata. So let us understand from very basics and step by step proper understanding. So the scriptures tell us, Srila Rupa Goswami quotes in Nectar of Instruction a verse, Vacho vegam manasaha krodha vegam Jihva vegam udara upastha vegam Etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha Sarvan apimam prithavim sa shishyat. He says there are many types of urges. Urge, the vega, in Sanskrit the word vega means urge. Varieties of urge like vacho vega, manasa krodha vega, the urge to get angry, urge to speak, jihva vega, urge to eat, udara upastha vega, the urge of the genitals. Like that he is giving a list of urge and he says vishayeta dhiraha, one has to learn to tolerate these urges. He's saying this. So first of all, number one point is that we are to acknowledge that in our body there are urges. This is a reality. This is the number one understanding, is the reality is there are urges in our body. So we should not be disturbed that, oh, there are urges. No, having urges in the body is natural. First we have to understand that. There are varieties of urges, some are given list. Now what is the meaning of the word urge in English? According to English dictionary, urge means a strong desire or an impulse or a demand. It's a strong desire or it's an impulse or it's a demand within the body, often compelling, forcing you to fulfill it. This is the meaning of urge. Like urge to sleep, urge to eat. It's a demand of the body. Now the question comes, okay, why there is such demand in our body? Right? First of all, we have to understand the body, the physical body, material body, naturally has multiple urges. So having an urge or having urges is not a problem. First, let us acknowledge that there are urges, varieties of urges. And we understood what is the meaning of urge. A strong desire or an impulse or a demand, a compelling force. Often it is asking us to act in a certain way. Now urges have got multi-purpose. The urge in our body has got multiple purpose. First we have to become aware of that. Multiple purpose. We can broadly categorize them into two. One is called essential purpose and additional purpose. What is that? Essential purpose and additional purpose. Like for example, what do you mean by essential purpose? Essential means it is very much required for that purpose. Like for example, survival, well-being. These are called essential purpose. These urge help you for your survival. They help you for your well-being and they are classified as essential purpose. Additional purpose. Additional means it is not the most required, but they also exist. That is called additional purpose. Let's take example to understand. We all have an urge to eat. Hunger, right? Hunger is an urge in our body, isn't it? Everybody has an urge to eat. It is called hunger. Now, as we discussed, every urge has multiple purpose, and we have categorized them into two main purpose. Essential purpose. So what is the essential purpose? Means survival, well-being, isn't it? Now, if we don't eat in a normal condition, we are talking, right? In a normal condition, if I don't eat, my survival is at risk. My well-being is at risk. If I don't eat, if I don't consume food, then I may die. My survival may be at risk. So the body has those demands created in our body, keep telling you that you have to do that. If you don't do, it causes, not eating can cause disease, can cause weakness, and ultimately it can cause death. So that means the urge has a certain essential purpose, isn't it? So we have to recognize that, okay, there is urge, and the urge has certain essential purpose. Now, Brahmacharya is not talking about this essential purpose of the urge. Brahmacharya basically means one has to restrain from executing those urge. Oh, what is this? I have to restrain from executing those urge. As we said, there are two: essential purpose, additional purpose. So essential purpose is for our survival, for our well-being. Like in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, what is the purpose of the food? In 17th chapter, Sattva Ayu Balarogya Sukha Priti Vivardhanaha. Ayuhu means, you have to live your lifespan. If you don't eat, you will die early. Ayuhu, for your longevity, you have to eat. Certain food can increase your longevity. Certain food can make you die early. Like if you consume tobacco product, you will die early. If you eat healthy product, you live a normal life, at least a longer life, longevity. Ayuhu, bala, it should give me strength, because for me to walk from one place to another place, let's say I want to go from here to Vrindavan, I want to do Vrindavan Parikram, I need bala, I need strength. And that strength comes from food that I eat. Ayuhu, balaha, arogya, free from disease. A food, when it is consumed in a particular way, it can give me free from disease. Arogya. Sattva, ayu, bala, arogya, sukha, priti, vivardhana. It can give me satisfaction. So these are all the essential purpose of the food. Now, what is not essential purpose of the food? What is not essential purpose of the food is a taste. We all know the food also has taste. Is it essential purpose or is it an additional purpose? Essential purpose is my survival. For example, there are some foods, they may not be tasty, right? But I am eating that. Can I still survive by eating non-tasty food? That means my survival continues even if I eat non-tasty food. The taste of the food does not contribute to my survival. It can enhance my experience of eating process, but it does not really contribute to my survival. That is why it is classified as additional purpose. It is good to have, even if it is not there, it can go on. Now, imagine a scenario. What happens? You reverse the scenario. The essential purpose is ignored, neglected. Additional purpose becomes the main goal. I'm eating not for my survival. I'm not eating for my health. I'm not eating for my strength. I'm eating for the taste. The taste has become the driving force for my eating. This is classified in Bhagavad Gita as lust or kama. What is kama? Now let us understand, because the first misunderstanding about Brahmacharya is that we think a certain activity is kama. The activity has nothing to do with lust or non-lust. The activity has nothing to do with lust. Then what is lust? Now let's take the example of this. The urge to eat. There is an urge to eat. We understood the urge helps me to be alive, helps me to survive. Now the urge also has the other side. If I am not careful, if it is not properly managed, then the lack of proper management of an urge can push me in overindulgence, and that overindulgence can take me towards self-destruction. Isn't it? Disease and self-destruction. So now let us understand this. Eating food for health, for survival, for strength, is it lust? Is it lust? It is not lust. But I'm ignoring that health, strength, survival, but I'm only eating for taste. Then it is called lust. So what is Brahmacharya? First we have to get the right understanding. Brahmacharya means I'm doing certain activity for additional purpose, not for the essential purpose. Okay, now let us take. Okay, Brahmacharya, it is said, abstinence from the sex, it is said. So just like an urge to eat, our body also has urge to procreate. Udara upastha vega. Upastha means genital. So the Shastra is saying there is an urge from the genital. So what is this urge? Again, there are two. Essential purpose, non-essential or additional purpose. What is the essential purpose of the sex? What is the essential purpose? The essential purpose, as we understand from the scripture, is procreation. Begetting a child. That is the essential purpose. Why it exists? Like the food. We take food for sake of health, for strength, for all that. But it may also have an additional purpose called taste. So the sex or this procreation urge, the primary purpose or essential purpose is procreate or for begetting a child. Now, it also is an additional purpose which is called pleasure or enjoyment associated with. Like when I'm eating, I can also eat for only enjoyment. Like that, this urge has two aspects. One is essential aspect, another one is additional aspect. And that is additional aspect is focused on pleasure or enjoyment aspect of it. Now the problem is that what Krishna is teaching, Brahmacharya means what? You are fully focusing on the pleasure aspect of it. That is why Prabhupada clarified by giving example of householder brahmachari or a grihastha brahmachari. What do you mean by grihastha brahmachari? A grihastha brahmachari is engaging in sexual activities, not because of the enjoyment associated with it, because for grihasthas they have one responsibility of producing children. In our spiritual society, as per Bhagavad Gita, Varnashrama. What is that Varnashrama? Ashrama. There is something called Varna, there is something called Ashrama. Varna is Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. That is a profession. Now Ashrama is a spiritual. My profession is different, my spiritual is different. What is spiritual? Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa. Among the four, who can produce the children? Can brahmacharis produce the children? Then are they called brahmacharis? No. Bachelor, you are not expected to have a children when you are a brahmachari. Can I produce children if I am a sannyasi? No. Vanaprastha? No. Then who can produce children? Grihasthas. To produce children, they have to engage in the sexual activities. And for that purpose, when they are engaged, it is not called lust. Because that is the primary purpose, or that is the essential purpose of that activity. So that doesn't mean somebody engaged in the activity to produce a children, it should not be seen as, oh, they're breaking brahmacharya. They are not breaking brahmacharya. No, they are for sake of producing children. When they're engaged in the same activity called sexual activity, it is not called breaking brahmacharya. But the person is saying, oh, there is some enjoyment associated with it. So I will do this for enjoyment purpose. I will eat because it is tasty. Like that, I will do this because it is enjoyable. When the enjoyment becomes a driving force, that attitude is called as kama or lust. And brahmacharya is about learning how to resist or how to tolerate such impulse. When there is an impulse generated in my consciousness to execute a certain activity for sake of pleasure associated with it, then that is the meaning of breaking the brahmacharya principle. First of all, the clarity. Again, coming back to basics, the clarity is we should not mistake sexual activity is against brahmacharya principle. Sexual activity for its main purpose or for its essential purpose, which is procreation purpose, is not against the principle of brahmacharya. Again, to recorrect it, sexual activity for sake of its essential purpose within the boundary of dharma. Again, even if I have to produce children, I have to produce children with your partner whom you have accepted in a dharmic process of marriage. Not with everybody I can produce children just because it is meant to produce children. No. Within the boundary of dharma, for sake of its essential purpose, when somebody is engaging in that activity, the activity, it is not bad. For what you are doing that activity is what making it right or wrong. So when I use this activity only for sake of pleasure associated with it, that is making it as lust or kama. This clarity, first of all, we should get. This is the background. Now let us learn some interesting principle. You see, we all as a human body, right? We all have the human body, and the human body has all these urges. Now, when somebody comes to spiritual life, if they do not have proper clarity, they start becoming uncomfortable. Why this urge exists in my body? This is a unhealthy thinking. It is unhealthy thinking. Oh, why this urge is there? Why my body is creating these thoughts, creating these desires, creating these demands? That is not a problem. In Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, when Krishna is speaking about Sthita Prajna, right? So there Krishna speaks about this. And he tells how do we deal with this. Let us see very beautifully how Krishna speaks about this, right? In the verse number 70. So Krishna says, Apuryamanam achala pratishtham samudram apaha pravishanti yadvat tadvat kama Yam pravishanti sarve sa shantim apnoti na kama kami. He says there is ocean and there are rivers. And the rivers keep on bringing the water into the ocean. Isn't it? But the ocean is not disturbed because of the water that river is bringing. So here Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport of that verse, as long as one has the material body, the demands of the body for the sense gratification will continue. That means what? If you have a material body, in that material body, the urges will appear and they continue to appear. Like I will have urge to eat, I'll have urge to sleep. Like this, there will be many urges that is continue to come. Don't be disturbed. Why this urge is there? Why this urge is there? Having the urge is not a problem. What are we going to do with that urge is the problem. That's what Brahmacharya is telling that why you have urge. You have a material body means you'll have urge. You'll have thoughts, you'll have all that body keeps generating for various, as we already discussed, for survival purpose, for well-being purpose, for procreation purpose. Like for example, if I have a body, I will have urge to sleep. And if you don't sleep, what will happen? We fall sick. It can lead to many other serious problems. So the sleep is also an urge. But if somebody gets addicted to the additional purpose of the sleep. See, sleep has essential purpose, sleep has additional purpose. What is the additional purpose? We feel good, no, when we sleep, isn't it? We all feel good. But for that, I get addicted to that feeling good. So I go on sleeping and sleeping. That's called overindulgence. I'm not sleeping for my health. I'm sleeping because it feels good. So when feeling good becomes the purpose, that is the lust. Every activity has a lust part of it, kama part of it. So the urges will continue till you completely become spiritually advanced and get, disassociated with your material identity. That's called Jivan Muktaha, liberated while you are in this body. Like 6 Goswamis. They may be having a material body. The urge is not required because their survival is directly now dependent on the soul, not dependent on the body. Our survival is dependent on the body. So the body has to produce the urges for its survival, for its well-being and all that. If those urges are not there, we will not do those activities. So that's why urges are there. But you need training how to manage these urges. We need training for managing the urges. The first training is to identify essential purpose of the urge and non-essential or additional purpose of the urge. That is the first level of Brahmacharya. Now, what is the problem with modern day? Like we read in this purport today, Prabhupada said that this education, the Brahmacharya is taught, therefore, from childhood when one has no knowledge of sex life. Children at the age of 5, Kaumara, at that stage, this training begins. Now, many times people approach us and they share their problems. They say that, I'm not able to practice Brahmacharya. I'm in bhakti. I'm trying to make advancement in spirituality, but very miserably I'm failing. So we all need to, be realistic. What is realistic? Here it is said at the age of 5, you have to start your training. Look at all of us. At what age we are starting our spirituality? It's too late. Somebody is 20, somebody is 25, somebody is 30, somebody is 50, somebody whatever age. This training has to begin at the age of 5. We have to understand the disadvantage with which we are starting our spiritual life. We have already wasted A lot of time the training has not happened. Okay, now I became aware that okay, this is how it is. There is a essential purpose, there is additional purpose. Now because of no training, what has happened? I always gravitate towards additional purpose. Because I've never been trained. Not just about sex life. Let's talk about even eating. Are we trained in eating? See, eating also requires training, right? When you eat in a trained manner, then it is called diet. Diet is also eating. Like those who go to fitness, those who are passionate about fitness, enthusiast of fitness, they will learn this principle of eating in a regulated manner. What are they taught? In that diet, when they learn dieting, what do they learn? They learn how much to eat, which item I should eat, which item I should not eat. There's so many videos people are telling, oh, this is full of carbs, I should not eat this. This is 150 gram calorie, avoid this. See how careful they are. Have you ever seen them talking about the taste? They're so careful. They They measure, they calculate. They say 100 gram carbo, some calorie and this and that. So they are trained for sake of good health, for sake of good fitness. Now they are trained, they are learning what to eat, how much to eat, what are the timings I should eat, when I should not eat, right? Now by default, from our childhood, we have grown up not just about in Brahmacharya or sex regulation, even in eating we have received no training. All that we have learnt is, if it is tasty, I should eat. And how sometime, at home, we are told sometime to encourage, hey, it's very tasty, eat. Every time the taste was shown to us, to encourage us to eat. So unknowingly, the taste has become the primary driving force even for eating activity. Forget about other things. That is how the health itself, we don't find among the common people. Mostly people are unhealthy. They're either obese or unhealthy. They have unhealthy eating practice. You see, now today we see dinner. If you have proper eating habits, ideally you should take dinner before sunset or 3 hours to 4 hours before you go to bed. But how many of us follow that? We are not talking about here Brahmacharya. We are talking about a normal activity called eating. What I am trying to say is that everything requires training. As simple as even eating habits require awareness and then a certain training, a culture, a certain atmosphere. Those who are not trained in what to eat, which item to eat, they are living unhealthy life. Similarly, like how people are living unhealthy eating habits, they are living unhealthy sexual habits. Just like we are simply eating because it is tasty, so people have somehow figured out, I should do this because it is enjoyable. So in both the example of eating habits and also the sexual habits, the primary focus or the primary purpose is ignored, additional purpose is are given too much importance. And this is simple ignorance of life. That's what here it is said that Brahmachari Vrata. Vrata basically means a training, a certain type of lifestyle. It's called Vrata. And at the age of 5, we have to start this training for, very easy or for an effective thing. So when we all come to Krishna consciousness, let us accept this reality that we are starting this much, much later in our life. Right? It's quite late, but it's not impossible. We may struggle. There can be more struggle compared to those who are starting at the age of 5. That is why it is also important how early we start this training even in Krishna consciousness. Okay, I'm in Krishna consciousness, but I'm somewhere there on my own, still All that I'm just doing is, okay, I'm devotee, but I'm devotee, fine. Are you getting this training? If the training is not there, I can have this idea that I have to be a brahmachari. What do you mean by brahmachari? Do you have to learn the art of not indulging in an additional purpose, but focusing only on the primary purpose? Now, let us see. Unlike sleep and food, if I don't eat food, I die. Very clear, right? Common sense. If I don't sleep, I die. If I don't produce children, will I die? Is it some existential purpose? It is not existentially important like eating and sleeping. It is there. It also does an important role of offspring production, but it doesn't mean that one will die if they don't engage in that. That is why in our Vedic culture, it is only given to those who are interested in that activity. Grihastha means they have certain responsibility, producing children and training them in a particular manner. Okay, remaining people, brahmacharis, vanaprasthas and sannyasis, since it is not an existential purpose, so it is not compulsory for them. But can we say brahmacharis don't eat, brahmacharis don't sleep, sannyasis don't eat, sannyasis don't sleep? Okay, the sannyasis are allowed to eat once in a day. Right? That is a rule. But still they eat. Still they are eating. That is not taken away. That is because that is existential requirement. Like there is thirst. Thirst means I want to drink water. It's an urge in my body. If I don't drink water, I feel very uncomfortable. And if I continue to not to drink, I can fall sick and it can create so many problems. So brahmacharis also feel thirsty, grihasthas feel thirsty, everybody feels, because it's an existential requirement. But a sexual activity is not existential requirement. It is not existential requirement, so it can be bypassed, it can be skipped, unless somebody wants to use it for procreation or producing the children. If not, it can be skipped. That means the primary purpose and the secondary purpose may not be required for me. Especially, coming back to the point, if my goal is to attain moksha, if my goal is to make spiritual advancement, if my goal is to go back to God, Krishna, then both primary and secondary purpose. It's not like Krishna is not saying, oh, you do not have children, so that means you cannot develop love of God. You cannot develop Krishna prema. Oh, you don't have children, that means you are not eligible to come back to Vaikuntha. Only those who have children can come back to Vaikuntha. There is no such restriction. That is why it is not essential, so you can skip it. Okay, I wish to skip, but I have a body, material body, and the body has urge. Then I have to learn how to manage this, so that both its procreation purpose and enjoyment purpose, both can be managed. And that is exactly the purpose of brahmachari or brahmacharya vrata. Because it is not existential survival requirement. It is not survival requirement. On the contrary, Shastras tell us if somebody learn this aspect of brahmacharya, they can use it to speeden up, to enhance the speed of their spiritual advancement. The same energy, vital energy in our body now can be used for sake of spiritual advancement, good health, good memory, good focus. All these are very important for my spiritual advancement. It is like I want to go to Vrindavan from here. Right? I can go by walk, I can go by bullock cart, I can go by train, I can go by flight. So which is the fastest and efficient one? Going by flight, aeroplane. So we can make spiritual advancement. But if you also practice Brahmacharya, the effectiveness and the speed, the intensity will be like going by flight. So that is why it is recommended that one take advantage of this and use this for your spiritual advancement. Now what is this? You can only use for two purposes. One is that you use it for procreation purpose, or you use it simply for sake of so-called enjoyment purpose. And that is actually considered as underutilization. What is that? Underutilization. What do you mean by underutilization? Either the vital energy in my body can be used for a powerful activity of giving birth to a life. Very powerful. You can see that. Giving birth to a life, to a child. Or it can also be used for taking me to the advancement. If this is not done for this two, if it is done for any other purpose, then it is like you have used it for low value activity, underutilization. It's like you have a 2000 rupee currency note and you're feeling very cold. So you put some bag of 2000 rupee currency note and put fire and you start feeling hot. It is foolishness. You can take some 3-4 2000 rupee note, purchase one heater and you can still feel warmth. For that, you don't have to burn the heap of currency like that. So if somebody is using their vital energy for the so-called enjoyment aspect associated with it, it is very childish. This is very underutilization. It is not at all. But the problem that we are facing today, many people are approaching us, is that because of lack of training, lack of knowledge, lack of culture, that enjoyment aspect has now like a ghost haunted the people. So much I got into the loop of this so-called doing this activity only for sake of enjoyment associated with, I find it difficult to come out of it because it has become a habit. I'm driven by pleasure, and now that action repeatedly performed, so in our brain, in our mind, it is now connected to some habit. It has become a habit formation. What do you mean by habit? Habit means I do that activity irresistibly, helplessly, impulsively, I do this activity. So now we have to understand, when I come to bhakti, now I don't want this. Okay, I understood. I don't want to indulge in it. Okay, saying this is of no use. That's great. At least there's some clarity is there. But now there is a great job of coming out of habit. Coming out of loop. That is a next target. That is the next thing. First, we have to understand that I don't wish to use this for the low pleasure associated, the additional purpose of that. That is not appreciated in Shastra at all. See, just like whether for health purpose you eat or whatever purpose you eat, while you are eating, if it happens to be tasty food, you enjoy that. That enjoyment is not discouraged. But no, I will eat because it is tasty. I don't care whether it is good for my health and all. That is seriously lust. That has to be curbed, and that's an enemy. That is, Krishna compares that as an enemy. The greatest enemy to work like that or think like that. So now here, okay, now first we have to learn that the two purpose, even the so-called the primary purpose of sexual activity also is not required for my survival. Isn't it? Then, survival purpose, it is not required. The pleasure purpose is also considered as not a very great pleasure. Okay, it is admitted. The Shastra admit that there is some pleasure in it. There is some enjoyment in it. But now there is a gradation of pleasure. Do you all agree that when we were small children, we took a lot of enjoyment playing the marbles? What is that called in local language? Kanchi, goti, whatever it is. So you enjoyed doing that once upon a time. But as you grew up, as you have become a grown-up man, because of the higher pleasurable activities, it is no more, that kind of attractive to me. And that is the next verse that Krishna says again in the second chapter Bhagavad Gita. What is that? Anyone knows? Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjyam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. This is what we are supposed to do now. What is that? Now I got addicted to this activity. I've developed certain habits because it is giving me some pleasure. Like when we were all growing up, at certain age, my body entered into a stage of reproduction called puberty. We attained a stage, what do you mean by puberty? Now from that stage onwards, your body is capable of producing offspring. That is called puberty. Now, when my body attained that, by then already I should have had this knowledge. Okay, when it comes, one is like called prevention. It's not that when the enemy attacks, then I start preparing for the war. Yuddha kale shastra abhyasa. Yuddha, war has been declared. Then you ask, where is the shastra? Where is the weapon? And okay, got the weapon. Can you teach me now? How can I use this? No, the war is already declared. So Prabhupada said, by quoting Prahlad Maharaj from Srimad Bhagavatam, Kaumaram achareto prajnaha. Prajna means highly intelligent people. They are already well prepared before even the attack happens. They already kept the weapons. They already got the training. So whenever there is something like that, they know how to respond to it. Isn't it? So if it is unprepared, there are all possibilities that I may get defeated in the war. So that is why this training has to happen from the early age before even one attains or one hits the puberty. So that when your body starts experiencing those urges, you know what is that urge and you know how to tolerate that urge. Already the culture, the training, the awareness has been created. But unfortunately, all of us were unfortunate to miss that training, that knowledge, that awareness. Okay, doesn't matter. Fortunately, somewhere we came to know. Somewhere we became aware. It may be difficult. It may be, arduous, but it is not impossible. Krishna understands that, okay, you started late. Krishna understands that your game started much later. So Krishna knows that we started our practice with so much of disadvantage. Krishna is very caring. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu is very compassionate. Krishna is sensitive to our disadvantaged background. Krishna knows that I am coming, is the such and such devotee is coming from such and such disadvantage. Krishna is not going to mind that, oh, why are you not being effective from the day one? Okay, fine, understandable. Right? So do not set over expectations in terms of the Brahmacharya performance in our present state. It does not help you to be a healthy spiritual life. It will create unhealthy behavior, unhealthy emotion, and unhealthy responses from our side. First of all, we have to acknowledge that I am starting with a disadvantaged time, disadvantaged background. Right? So, when the body develops that stage, now I should learn how to deal with those impulses in my body. How to divert them. How to engage them, how to tolerate them, and how is it possible? Okay, now that is the last part, practical part. So the last part is external and internal. That is what the shloka is telling. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. Ahara means what? Food. Nirahara means starving or not giving the food. Niraharasya dehinaha. Krishna is saying, what will you get by starving? You know, there is a difference between fasting and starving. Upavas in English is called fasting. What is starving? Starving means I want to eat. I'm not allowed to eat, or I'm not getting food to eat, or something like that. But I want to eat. There is so much desire to eat inside, but I'm not eating. Either my hands are tied, or food is not available, whatever may be the reason. I want to eat, but the activity of eating is not happening. So Krishna is calling niraharasya dehinaha. Internally I want to enjoy, but simply externally I'm not doing it. But the desire to enjoy is there inside. So Krishna is saying this is not going to help. This is not going to help. This is what happening to many practitioners when they are coming to Krishna. Internally, we have not developed how to give up that desire. That requires training, which Prabhupada said from the age of 5. Okay, whenever we have to train, we have to learn the art of the last line the Krishna said, Param Drishtva Nivartate, means you learn some higher enjoyment. Because of that higher enjoyment, you lose interest in this naturally. So you are not interested in this. And this is the training that one has to receive in Brahmachari Vrata or Brahmachari Ashram. Then externally you are not doing, internally you are also not interested in that. I'm not interested in it because of my higher some pleasure purpose. Like for example, now I want to ride bike. So now when I'm small, I'll have a toys. Children are very serious about toys. They can fight and they can quarrel, they can get upset for toys. But when I grow up, now I've developed my desires for the real bike. So like that, when you learn and make those spiritual elevation or progress, where now your interest is not the enjoyment this is giving. Now you know that, yeah, there is some enjoyment, but that enjoyment is so insignificant or so cheap or whatever it is, but I am getting some other enjoyment. You see, always this is the most important. If a devotee is not focusing on this aspect, what is this aspect? Lower enjoyment, higher enjoyment. So if I don't learn how to take higher enjoyment, my mind by default, my body, my mind by default will go and take enjoyment in the lower things. So Prabhupada gives example of Yamunacharya. He says, Yadivat. He says, if I simply even think of that, my mind turns away, my lip curls, and I feel, what is this? Why? Because I feel it is so small enjoyment. I'm not interested in this. It's like Ambani's, marriage happened recently, right? Imagine all the guests who came and they gift some marbles. That is a gift if you receive. You'll be disappointed. What do you think of me? You think I enjoy playing some marbles? So you understand who I am. What gives me enjoyment now? So that is what the important here is. In enjoyment, there are gradations. Like in currency, there is a gradation. There is 1 rupee. There is 5 rupee. There is 10 rupee. There is 50 rupee, 100 rupee, 500 rupee, 2000 rupee. Everything is called money. Everything is called money. But 1 rupee is not equal to 10 rupee. 10 rupee is a higher value. 100 rupees 10 times higher than 10. 500 rupees 5 times higher than 100. Isn't it? Like that, some enjoyments are higher enjoyments, some enjoyments are lower enjoyments. Some enjoyments are, like when I was small child, my grandparents used to visit our home. And when they're going back to their home, they would give some 1 rupee, 5 rupees, like that. Get so happy and excited. Oh, they give 1 rupee, 5 rupee like this. Now imagine that you are now, let's say 25-year-old and somebody gives you 1 rupee. Will you get excited? Does it excite us? Why? Now you are aware there is something called 2000 rupee note. And that is much, much higher than 1 rupee. The excitement for what I used to get excited earlier and for what I get excited now, it can change based on my growth. When I was not grown up, when I was too small, I get excited for even 1 rupee also. That is a reality. So like that, those who are not progressed in their consciousness, they do get excited for sex. They get excited. Oh, very nice, very good. So if we are getting excited for that, it means that according to Shastra, sex is classified as the lowest enjoyment. And there are higher enjoyments than this. Then I need an exposure to that. I need to learn how to take those higher enjoyment. If I am not getting trained, then by default I keep getting excited for lower pressure and that keeps controlling me. So Brahmacharya basically means to learn, first become aware the higher enjoyments and now learn to take those higher enjoyments. If you do not have higher enjoyment, you cannot simply say, I don't know why I'm getting attracted to this. I don't know why this is troubling me. I don't know why I'm still, caught with this. It only means that. It only means that I have not developed higher pleasure. Param drishtva. Drishtva means experience. Param means higher experience. Only those who do not know 2000 rupee note can be childishly excited for 5 rupee, 10 rupee. So Shastras are telling there are higher pleasure. And this is where comes into, now we come to this point called external and internal. Okay, now you need training. Somebody has to help you to identify what is higher pleasure, what is lower pleasure. And after identifying, now we need to train how to take that higher pleasure. How to take? Like for example, if you take example of discipline, self-discipline, like going to bed at the right time, waking up early in the morning. It's called self-discipline, right? Now, another one. I'll sleep whenever I want. I'll wake up whenever I want. Now, somebody may say, isme jada maja aayega. Means whenever I sleep, how much ever I sleep, whenever I want to get up. This is a lot of happiness in this. Those who have learned the discipline of sleeping on time, waking up on time, they also are doing it because of what? There is a higher enjoyment in the discipline. But it does not come from the day one like that. The higher enjoyment you don't enjoy from day one. In between, there is some stage called struggle stage. What is that? Struggle stage. Let's say I want to develop this now discipline of going to bed and waking up early in the morning. Not that immediately I start enjoying the pleasure of a discipline. Actually, it takes time because it is higher. More efforts are required for more pleasure. So Krishna says in 18th chapter Bhagavad Gita, the pleasure which is very much in the beginning only ends in the suffering at the end. In the beginning, which is a struggle and not so nice, but in the end it becomes Amrita, very nectarian, Krishna says. So certain higher pleasures are designed like that. This is called path of high resistance. What is that? Path of high resistance. It is very natural for the water to flow from height to bottom, low. But if the water has to go from the bottom to up, then it requires motor, it requires pump, it requires efforts. And that is called tapasya. Just like you require a motor, you require a pump to lift the water from the sump to the tank, overhead tank. So like that, to lift our consciousness from lower enjoyment to higher enjoyment, you need a motor, you need a pump called tapasya. If that is not there, water remains at the ground level. My consciousness will remain low only. What do you mean by low? I keep getting attracted helplessly, to sexual activities. Only by introducing this aspect of tapasya. And tapasya means lifestyle. Tapasya means a certain lifestyle. How effectively I follow a lifestyle, that helps me to develop higher taste and higher enjoyment. And that lifestyle is what, unfortunately, today is missing in the outside world. In Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, this culture, this training was naturally available everywhere. It was naturally available. If I want to practice Brahmacharya, even my home, my outside, everywhere, it would have been favorable to that. But today it is not. It is reversed. It's very difficult. Whatever can destroy our Brahmacharya, that's the culture that exists in the outside world. Let's take some example. Like for example, when you see some trucks carrying petrol, diesel and all, they would have written, inflammable, keep distance. Or when you go to petrol pump, they will say, stay away from all fire. You can't use a matchstick there, because there is some item called petrol or a diesel. It can immediately. So that means that place called petrol pump, they should put all the efforts to keep all the fire objects away. Am I right? This is the right understanding of what is petrol, so that I keep all other fire objects away. So like that, when we understand ourselves, our consciousness, my body already has that urge. Like petrol has the quality to catch fire and explode. Like that, my body, because of my material body, it already has that urge. It already has. So just like you keep distance and keep certain items away, so I have to create an atmosphere. If I want to lift my consciousness up, I have to stay away from such triggering atmosphere. What do you mean by trigger? Like fire can trigger explosion if there is a petrol or a diesel like that. So like that, if those who want to make advancement in their spiritual consciousness, they want to develop the higher enjoyment, they have to situate themselves in the zero trigger atmosphere, or at least the least trigger atmosphere. This is the first requirement. You cannot say that I keep petrol also, next to that only I'm cooking also. It's very dangerous. When it will explode, you don't know. So we are not living in an atmosphere of this kind of a trigger-free atmosphere. The atmosphere today outside has become full of triggers. What do you mean by triggers? It incites you. It immediately switches on your sexual urge. Already urge is there. It just requires trigger. Free and easy mixing of opposite genders. Free and easy mixing, unrestricted mixing, and there is no moral or cultural or social restrictions for this. It's simply encouraging. You can mix in the name of education, in the name of job, in the name of, we are just friends. So this just free mixing. This is not going to help. Interactions, relationships, So one has to stay away from this. We need a atmosphere. One is mixing, another one is simply seeing, getting triggered, and social media is full of such triggers. See, people, very innocently they make this statement. They say that, no, we are just friends. What's wrong if two people talk? Yes, there's nothing wrong. It's not that fire will immediately catch. We have to admit that petrol has the quality to catch fire. That is the point. Whether it has not caught so far, that is not the discussion. It will catch is the discussion. So, we have the tendency to gravitate towards the pleasurable aspect of this urge. So, we need an atmosphere which is free from such trigger, that is called external atmosphere. That means we are not telling this to anybody and everybody. Today's topic is those people who are thinking, how do I learn Brahmacharya and how do I make advancement? It's not for all the people. So those people who want to, learn Brahmacharya, they have no other option than to live in a trigger-free atmosphere. Now we know very well, outside it's not possible. It's not possible. Almost it has become not possible. I may wish, but the life around me is not designed for it. So it is like, it could be smartphone, it could be free internet, it could be unlimited the content that is available everywhere, and and I have no training. On top of all these things, I have no training. So when I keep myself in such atmosphere, there is no possibility of practicing this Brahmacharya. And Krishna says, if you are not practicing Brahmacharya, there is no question of making any advancement. There is no advancement. Prabhupada gives an example. You sit in on boat and the boat is tied to an anchor and the whole day you keep rowing the boat. You are putting efforts, but is it moving? Is it traveling anywhere? No, the boat is tied. So like that, as long as my mind is tied to this pleasurable aspect of the sexual urge, I don't make any advancement. I should be released from that. So for that, I need to situate myself in an atmosphere which is favorable. Less triggers, less provocations, less, not just trigger and provocation, less opportunities for that. Today you see, what is the society that we are living is not only it is full of triggers, it is also full of opportunities. Continuously the world is making opportunities more easy, more accessible, more available and more economical. Somebody wants to, indulge. So there are a lot of things. Earlier people would be scared if I go and propose to someone. What will be the response? I don't know. What if they scold me or hit me, or we don't know, or socially boycott me? Today, the social media has made it very easy. You can just have a fake ID, anonymous. You can just go anonymous. Or you can simply go and tell anything to anybody. Doesn't matter. In fact, there are some platforms, like what I heard is like something like Tinder or something. You are going there over this only. And there are so many such people, they also have come for that. Okay, in 5 minutes, people decide, next what? Okay, this is what it is. We should go ahead and just do it. So that means we are not only living in a atmosphere, it is full of triggers, it is also full of opportunities. So then, how much I can tolerate? Vishayeta dhiraha. How much dhira I can remain, that only we have to decide. We should know how much dhira I am in this kind of atmosphere. So Srila Prabhupada created an atmosphere for such people who strongly desire, who know this is what I want to read. So you need an atmosphere for that. Like if I want to get myself educated, I need an atmosphere school. I need an atmosphere called college. Otherwise, I can be at home. Homeschooling is also there, but there are a lot of distractions. Right? So like that, there's an atmosphere required for this. And in that atmosphere, I can get trained. Again, coming here, not getting trained is of no use. Training is always important. We need training. Training basically means you have to learn the right perception about such desires, right perception towards the objects. If the right perception is not there, with the wrong perception, you easily get triggered. I become triggerable easily. But when I have a right perception, like for example, a woman or a man is meant for my sexual indulgence. If this is my perception, like in the Western countries, they teach this kind of thing. They say, you should not have any guilt. You should just go ahead and do it. Doesn't matter this, that, and all these things. The age, time, and nothing matters. All that matters is, did you enjoy? Only enjoyment matters there. Nothing else matters. If that is a perception, if I develop, it's very dangerous. Brahmacharya means you have to develop matravat paradareshu. Okay, same woman, but this woman is a worshipable woman. This woman is worshipable. It is not like, if you take example, those who are following diet. If I'm following a diet, I know very well that item is tasty, but I still don't want because it is not good for me. It is not because the item is not tasty, so I will not eat. So whether it is mother or sister or brother or whoever it is, it's not that that person cannot give you that experience of a sex. They can also give you that experience, but your perception of mother, sister, brother, whatever it is, guru or whatever it is stopping you. It is restricting you. So we need perception development, perception training, perception development, perception correction, and an atmosphere where such practice is allowed, such practice is encouraged. Not that, I'm there somewhere outside, people are coming and asking, hey, where is your boyfriend? Where is your girlfriend? Oh, you don't have anyone. What's wrong with you? Why you have only... I have no encouragement. There's nothing, teaching me, correcting me, evaluating me. So those who want to develop right perception, which helps your spiritual advancement, they need training and they need right atmosphere. They need to be with right people. This is external. And coming to end, the last one, which is most important, is my internal trigger, internal response. Okay, outside world is all very nice and all. Does it mean 100 years back, 200 years back, when there was no social media, there was no internet, there was no free mixing, does it mean people were not lusty? People were lusty. That is because of not outside world, it is because of my internal perceptions. So Krishna is saying, internally also you have to develop the detachment. You have to come out of that internal compulsion to feel this. Oh, I need this. And that is possible through spiritual practice. How do I develop internal strength? Through right spiritual practice, regular spiritual practice. Like chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And most important thing is Shravanam, Shastra Adhyayana. Engaging our mind and intelligence in understanding Shastra. That is very important for your internal development. If I do not engage in chanting, if I don't engage in activity like Shastra Adhyayana, which is like, association, reading, discussion, teaching others, I get attracted. Even if atmosphere outside, external, I don't have triggers, but internally I keep getting triggered. So we need both. We need both. What is that Krishna says? Yada samharate chayam kurmo angani va sarvashaha. Krishna is giving example of a tortoise. What is tortoise in Hindi? Kachwa. So what it does? It takes his limbs inside so externally we should be like that. When the moment there is a trigger come, I withdraw. I need a place, I need people so that I can be safe. But internally also, I should be able to withdraw myself. And that happens only when I practice proper spiritual activities like morning sadhana. That tapasya, as I already discussed, the tapasya is like that pump, the motor which lifts the water from the ground level to a higher level. So like that, the tapasya of the sadhana, chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, studying Shastra like Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, taking prasadam, being with these right people is what internal development happens. When there is internal development and the external safe atmosphere, then you can be little confident that yes, I can practice Brahmacharya. In the absence of all these things, simply, I am aware, there is something called no illicit sex, there is something called no illicit sex. It's not going to help. We have not started our training from the age of 5. We have nobody guided us, nobody trained us. So simply, coming and thinking that, I should not do this, it's not going to help. When we become aware, we should now sit down and think, how do I take this training? It should be your personal initiative. Of course, it can be an initiative of organization. It is like we can take you to water. But how much water you drink depends on how thirsty you are. So an individual has to take an initiative to come, learn this training and put them into practice. And keep myself in an atmosphere like this temple, ashram or a residency which is safe atmosphere. Of different gradation, of course, but these are all safe atmosphere. So that is when you do this, there is a possibility with all hopes that yes, it is very much possible. So coming to summary, in the beginning we understood that there are urges. Why there are urges? Because I have material body. As long as I have material body, I will have urges. Having urges itself should not bother us. How I am dealing with the urges should actually disturb us or should make us feel bad. So, and every urge has multi-purpose. What is the we can categorize essential purpose, additional purpose. Like for case of eating or sleeping, the essential purpose is our survival for our health. And what is the additional purpose? Taste or pleasure or enjoyment. When I sleep, I may feel good about it, but I can't sleep only for sake of pleasure. So like that, every urge has this pleasure. Now, Brahmacharya is about focusing and executing only essential urge, not necessarily additional urge. Especially the urge of sex is not just essential, it is not even survival. What do you mean by survival? If I don't do this, I will die. So it is not even that. Then the Shastra says, if somebody wish, they may skip that. That is why out of the 4, Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha, Sannyasa, only one segment is allowed. Okay, you want it, you do it for sake of producing right children. But remaining people, they felt, no, it is not survival requirement. And in fact, I can use the same Brahmacharya, vital energy for my spiritual advancement. So better let me use that for that purpose. So getting addicted, getting obsessed for the pleasure aspect is as good as somebody eating only for sake of taste, enjoyment, which is what we all see. Not only I do not have training in Brahmacharya, I also don't have training in eating. I eat anything and everything. I eat how much ever I want. No timings. Even when it comes to sleep also, we are non-trained. So we need training. Krishna says, Yuktahara viharasya, Yukta chestasya karmasu, Yukta swapnava bodhasya, Yogo bhavati dukkhaha. We need training. We need right atmosphere. And all these things, as the shloka itself is saying, Mat paramaha. Krishna is saying, Mat asita. Matchitta. Krishna is saying that, your mind, the engagement has to be the higher taste, param drishtva. Only when I develop the higher experience, I will lose attraction for lower experience. And what is that higher experience? In the shloka itself, it is mentioned, engaging our mind on Krishna can give you higher pleasure. That secret is already revealed. But you need training for that. Just like you need somebody to train you how to enjoy the discipline. Like that, you need that higher training, how to enjoy that higher experience of engaging in Krishna's service. Krishna consciousness is a higher experience, but that's an art we have to learn. That is already mentioned. That is called param drishtva. Otherwise, simply artificially starving without all this spiritual practice, right atmosphere, engagement in Krishna consciousness. Krishna calls this is a very artificial, and very soon you will fail, and repeatedly you will fail. You get frustrated, you lose self-confidence, you will make negative opinion about yourself, and you come to a point that it is not possible, I can't do this. So this is a wrong approach. We need a right approach. So we'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.